Hey Coyote fans, welcome back to another edition of the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. I'm John Thayer, joined as always by the head coach of the Coyotes, Leanne Williamson. Coach, you're coming off of a weekend off. How did you enjoy that with the weekend and just get maybe that last break before a real charge to end the season?
Yeah, we adjusted our schedule a little bit. Originally, we had planned to practice on Saturday, but I just think with where our team's at and how intentional they've been, I think it was a good switch. We practiced on Friday and then gave them off for the weekend. So there were a few of them that stuck around for the football game and being able to kind of enjoy some time off, but a lot of them went home, and that's just not a luxury that we usually have during the season. So I was happy that a lot of them were able to take advantage of it. But, I feel like everybody's in a good spot. We're feeling good. We're healthy, which is always a really good place to be. But I do think that rest came at the right time. Now obviously finishing up with 3 really tough matches here at the end of the regular season, I feel confident that our team's going to be prepared for that.
I'm sure it's tough as a coach. You try to balance, like, we still could work on some things, but you need a mental break at times in the season. How do you try to weigh the pros and cons and make those decisions?
Well, that's where the staff comes in. I think for me, a lot of times my default is practice, and, we need to go longer. We need to get this, and this done. But I think sometimes it's really important to be able to be efficient with our training. And I think we've gotten better at that. We kind of understand maybe what the priorities are, and sometimes it is taking an extra 15 minutes to do a certain drill, and sometimes it's to compete and to learn through that competition and then get out of there as well. But our goal isn't to be in the gym as long as possible. It's to be efficient with the reps that we do need, and we're going to continue to focus on those main things.
Your team is coming off of a win the last time out before the weekend off. Of course, you went to Fargo and beat North Dakota State. They win set number 1, and then your team is able to really get some things going the rest of the way.
Yeah, it was a good match. That first set, both teams hit over 350. So offensively, we were in a really good spot. And I will say it was nice to be able to kind of go up to the team and say, hey, we're doing a lot of really good things. We played pretty clean offensively. It really was a small margin of error. We had 2 or 3 points that we would have wanted back, whether it was controlling a dig or whether it was a misserve or, maybe just a, more so scout and report error. And I think we did a good job of correcting that. We actually got ourselves down in set 2 and then found a way to claw back. And I think once we won that set, you could just tell there, a little bit of that sigh of relief of like, hey, now let's go. And I think we got better as the match went on again, playing some really good volleyball in set 4. But I think we stayed composed and we stayed patient until we were able to take advantage of some of the things that they ended up doing on their side. It
felt dominating by the end of the match, quite honestly, watching that match. And do you feel that on the bench? Like when your team starts to hit that high tide, you're like, we're not going to lose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I ever feel completely confident until that point 25 is hit. But, I do think that this team has that next level. And the thing is we don't need to be at that next level, consistently. We just need to be, we talk about good over time. We don't have to be great. We have to be good over time. And I think that was something that we saw ourselves do actually in that match. And then I think we stayed pretty consistent. We stayed pretty clean. And then they ended up making some errors down the stretch where we were able to maybe pull away a little bit more. But, there are times where I look over at the staff and I was like, I don't think we can do anything wrong right now. But, those times aren't going to be the consistent time. It's going to be the time that we're just playing Coyote volleyball here.
How do you handle moments like that? The other team takes a timeout. You've got to say something to your team, but you don't want to ruin the mojo they've got going right now. How do you choose how to utilize those timeouts?
Yeah, well, one thing that people may or may not know about us, when we call timeouts, I talk, and then when the other team calls timeouts, Michael talks. And for us, we might give them 1 or 2 things to continue to think about, maybe little focuses that we need to think about going back into the game, but he talks a little bit more about what did that first ball look like. What rotation are they in? What can we expect offensively? So that we're very prepared on the defensive end right out of that timeout.
Coyotes will be on the road this week for a pair of matchups. When we come back here in just a little bit, we'll talk about those matchups with Coach Williamson. Just 3 matches left in the regular season. Coming up next, we're joined by Alaina Wolff. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show presented by Scooters Coffee. We're joined this week by Alaina Wolff. Alaina, coming off of a weekend off. How nice was that this time of year? Chance to reset. I know that class is winding down for you and your team and getting closer and closer to that finals week. But just the stretch run of the season, how important was this weekend?
Yeah, I think this weekend off was really, really important for our team. I think we've had a tough stretch, just in a lot of games and not a lot of time. And so this weekend off was a nice reset for us, and especially going into the next 3 matches left of conference season, I think it was good for us to have a little bit of a break on a weekend and start this week strong.
We call it weekend off, and that generally means no games or matches or whatever. Do you still work on some things, do some training, or do you truly take a day or 2 off and just really hit the reset button?
Yeah, we do take a good couple of days off. It was nice. A lot of girls got to go home. And some of us stayed here and supported the football team, went to a couple basketball games. So everyone just kind of had some time to do what they wanted to do, which is nice.
You're coming off of a match last week at North Dakota State. Your team loses set number 1, but you rally and win that thing. Very dominant by the end of that match. It felt like, at least watching it, did it feel like that on the floor, like your team really hit a stride?
Yeah, to start set 1, we just couldn't really get in a rhythm, and I think in sets 2, 3, and 4, we really kind of put our heads down and kind of focused on our side, and we just came out with a win, so that was really nice.
The last time we had you on this, we talked about your kill numbers, and I feel like that was motivating for you since then.
Very, very motivated. I've had a couple, I think.
Do you notice it when it happens? You're like, "Whoa, there's another one." How do you react because you don't get too many opportunities?
No, I don't. It was funny. I got a dig kill against Kansas City, and they tried to challenge it away from me, and they lost. So it's on the stat sheet for me.
Do you encourage the other coach not to challenge it?
No,
like, don't do it.
I didn't. But I was praying.
This team obviously has found a bit of a stride. You go into a stretch run here, 3 matches left in the regular season, and of course 2 road games this week. What do you like about the growth of this team throughout the course of the season and where it's at heading into this final stretch?
Yeah, I think the team has really grown a lot throughout the season. Going into these last few matches, I think we're really hitting our stride, and I think we're really confident, and we know what we're capable of. And so going into these last 3 matches, it's just really important for us to just keep playing our game and know that there are good things that can come out of it.
As a veteran and a leader on this team, what do you need to see out of this group here over the next, week, 10 days to make sure this group is playing at its best and as high energy as they can going into the Summit League tournament?
This is a really exciting time of the year, end of conference, looking forward to the conference tournament. And I think it's really important for our team to just stay focused and just know that we are putting ourselves in a good position to be successful. And if we keep playing like we are, I think we're going to have a good time.
Coaches might say something else, but from a player perspective, you have 3 losses in conference play. All 3 of those teams coming up. Is that motivating?
Oh, very. Yeah, very. We have made some adjustments since the last time we've played these teams, and I don't think we were playing our best volleyball at that time, so I think we're in a much better place now, and I'm really excited to go play them. I
know you play hard every time, but are you digging deeper and deeper knowing that your career is closing out here over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I am. I try not to think about it. It makes me sad, but I'm really just trying to enjoy my time here and focus on having fun with my teammates, and I think that will lead to winning, so that's always fun.
Big road trip coming up. How do you and this team, how do they stay focused on a lengthy road trip where you got two matches and travel in between? How do you try to keep that focus?
I think just, just having fun and just, not taking everything too seriously. I think if we focus a little too hard on things, we can stress ourselves out. And I think just focusing when we need to focus, but being able to relax and have fun when we have off time in the airport or on the bus. I think having those times of not so serious is helpful.
Fighting for positioning right now in the Summit League standings. The Summit League tournament will be coming up here very, very shortly. And you look at the Summit League as a whole, from your perspective. You've seen firsthand all of these teams. What do you think of the Summit League as a whole right now in volleyball?
I think the Summit League is growing very, very a lot. I think that a lot of teams are coming out to play every single night, and it's a really, really fun conference. A lot of teams have grown, like St. Thomas in the top, SDSU at the top, a lot of teams that haven't been at the top in recent years, and so it's really fun to see the growth, and it's fun to play every night.
What's the challenge now? Obviously, you're closing up the regular season. You're trying to stay motivated, but I mentioned that academic stuff's going to start creeping up here over the next couple of weeks. What's the challenge as a student athlete when you're trying to balance all of that and organize your brain for finals week coming up and not too far away, and obviously trying to win?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to just be able to separate school and volleyball. Focus on school when we're not in the gym, and when we're in the gym, put everything behind us and just focus on what we have ahead of us. So it's a challenging time for sure, but we'll celebrate soon.
All right, we're looking forward to it. Good luck this week.
Thanks.
All right, that's Alaina Wolff joining us, the Coyote Volleyball Show. Coming up next, Leanne Williamson rejoins us. We'll talk about the week ahead, a couple of road matchups at St. Thomas and Omaha. This is the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee.
This segment brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.
Back in the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee. We're joined by head coach Leanne Williamson. The Coyotes on the road this week for a couple of matches. Coach, just 3 left in the regular season. I know we talked about this, but man, flying by, and we're closing in on the end here.
Yeah, it's kind of insane to think about that we're this close to the end of the season. But I think one of the fun things that we look at is these last 3 matches are 3 losses in conference. So we had said after the St. Thomas Omaha weekend, for people that remember that was not a great weekend for us. We didn't feel like we played, not even to our level. We just kind of lost ourselves for a little bit there, and we had a hard time righting the ship. But we've gotten so much better through since then. And one of the things we had said to them after that weekend was we can't wait to play these 2 teams again at the end, when we have worked through some of the issues that we were experiencing. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun to finish up conference with these 3 opponents.
Everybody fighting for positioning right now. Your team will take on St. Thomas, the first matchup of the road trip. Obviously a team, as you mentioned, you've already played. What were the challenges that they presented to your team in that first matchup?
I mean, I think they scored some out of system balls right away. That we feel like that's something that we're usually pretty good at, and I think it stressed us out a little bit. And then I think we just kind of had a hard time getting into a rhythm, which I will say is partly of what they were doing to us. They served the ball well. I think they were passing well, so they were in system. But again, just kind of mentioned it earlier. We just kind of lost ourselves. We just didn't play Coyote volleyball like what I'm used to, especially defensively. That's something that we feel like we can really stand out in, and that just wasn't necessarily a strength of ours in that match. So we're looking forward to, again, being able to match back up and kind of see where we're at now, because I do think that we've made some really good strides, but they do some things really well too. So looking forward to the challenge.
I think one of the interesting thoughts about this road trip, you've got St. Thomas on Thursday, which plays in a very tight, cozy environment, and then you've got Omaha, which plays in a much more wide open arena. Does that change anything for volleyball?
I don't think it changes anything for us. It might change the environment just a little bit of just how loud it gets or whatnot. But in terms of us going into it, I think we feel pretty comfortable playing in those different types of places. We're going to be able to practice at both of them ahead of time, which obviously helps just get used to the depth perception and whatnot. But you are right, 2 different environments, but I think both of them can present some challenges.
You look at this team, and we keep talking about this every week, but now as you see, you've talked about getting better and getting better. You're coming off of the weekend off. Where's this team at right now as you get to this real stretch run of the season, 3 matches left, and then it's conference tournament time?
I think they're very focused. I think they're engaged. One of the things that we've been really happy with is anytime we've brought something up to them, whether it's statistical or maybe not following the game plan in a certain way, we've been able to make those changes and actually make them pretty, I would say pretty quickly, and that can be really hard to do. But I think it just goes to show, one, the volleyball IQ that we can have on our team and that we continue to see with some of our players. But again, that engagement piece of we are getting close to the end of the season and we're still making adjustments, and our team is doing a good job making adjustments, and we're not just coasting through and trying to rely on where we're at right now. We're still trying to get just that little bit better every single day. So I feel like overall we're in a really good spot. I feel like we are more consistently playing our best volleyball right now, which is obviously what we want to be. We want to be the best team that we can be at the end of the season, and crazy to say it, we're almost there.
What do you want to see and need to see out of this group this week?
I mean, handling the challenge well, and obviously playing the 3 teams that we've lost to, we got to go 1-0. We got to make sure that we stay in the present. But I think this team is up for the challenge. But obviously, being on the road for 2 of them is tough. And I don't think the road trip itself is going to take enough out of us to maybe influence us negatively. But mentally, we've got to show up. We got to show up for ourselves. We got to show up for each other. We got to make sure that we are working to earn, everything that we get during these matches and not relying on other people to give us things.
Have a good trip this week. Good luck.
Thank you.
That's Leanne Williamson, the head volleyball coach at the University of South Dakota. That's going to do it for us this week. I'm John Thayer. This has been the Coyote Volleyball Show, presented by Scooters Coffee.
The Coyote Volleyball Show is brought to you by Scooters Coffee. Scooters Coffee. Amazing drinks, amazing people, amazingly fast.